Bethesda keeps offering jobs to Fallout London modders. Dan, you want to lead this one?
Sure. By the way, this is like often here in Pop Culture Crisis, we discuss like why is I was about to curse. I just love cursing. Why are things trash? And this is like a common conversation we have. Like, why does this suck? Why does this suck? Why does everything suck?
I love to ask the questions and offer no solutions. It's my job.
Well, it seems that someone has stumbled upon the solution inadvertently.
By accident.
Okay, so let me read a little bit about this article. Bethesda keeps offering jobs to Fallout London modders. The DLC-sized mod has certainly caught the eye of Bethesda. I read that wrong, but like, sue me.
Oh, I transpose words sometimes. You just roll right through it, man.
Sweet. The team behind Fallout 4's DLC-sized mod, Fallout London, has certainly caught the eye of Bethesda as the developers keep offering its members jobs. The Fallout London Twitter page shared an update below, which explained that the lead technical advisor, Ryan Johnson...
Not to be confused with Ryan Johnson, who ruined Star Wars.
Continue. Correct. No, this is a legendary GigaChat. Would be leaving the modding team to start working for Bethesda. This marks the second time that we know of the developer has hired straight from Fallout London team. And blah, 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 blah. Not only that, but Fallout London's project manager, Dean Carter, was also offered a position at Bethesda UK's office to work at Fallout 76, though they declined in order to see the mod's development through to the end. And I emphasize that not because I am reading impaired. That is a side. That is to like prove a point. So this is just one example of several examples of beautiful, brave, and bold people on the internet fixing in a matter of hours what multinational mega corporations cannot do in years.
It's like that guy who fixed Superman's mustache face in Batman vs. Superman. And like he did it in like half the time, and Warner Brothers spent millions of dollars trying to CGI out Henry Cavill's mustache.
Correct. It's because like the bureaucracy and, you know, deadlines and meetings and like probably ESG scores stop people from actually, get this, doing their job.
Yep.
And this brave and beautiful person said, "Oh, thank you for the offer, but I'd actually like to do the thing that you'd be hiring me for because I am cognizant and smart enough to understand that you will hire me and then you will put me on a suit to watch Minions and watch the movie."
Or in this case, send him on Zoom calls and force him to do a bunch of inane bureaucratic nonsense that prevents him from doing his job.
It won't be done because like someone on your team wants credit for the project that you're doing. Like your supervisor says it's, by the way, no, like this is like common in corporate America. Like I'm sure like all of you that work normal jobs are very familiar with this. You know, like your boss says that it's a bad idea. You know, it says, yeah, it sounds good, but I don't know how profitable it would be. Like right now we're doing Too Fast, Too Furious. It's all about family. You know, it's like, and that's making a S ton of money.
Yes,
so
it is.
It's like, by the way, another examples of things where like a brave and beautiful person independently has fixed something. A modder fixed the loading times for Grand Theft Auto 5. Mm-hmm. Something that, again, a multinational corporation wasn't able to do. The Street Fighter 5, I referenced the worst game of all time. A guy in 6 hours fixed the net code that, again, another large corporation. Thank you. Oh my! I was never gonna get
this
that.
This is the one we were talking about yesterday,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. So the Street Fighter 5, the difference between the correct inputs is literally fractions of a second. Thus, if your online code is not good enough to register fractions of a second, and like what happens before that, the outcome of a match will be like very irregular. And when in the post-COVID world where most tournaments are going to be online, your whole game has become discredited competitively. That's another fix. Final Fantasy XIV has been known for these fixes. And this is just another example of independent people being able to do what the corporations are incapable of doing. Thus, it comes to our conclusion: what would fix movies and media and everything outside of it?
Get him away from these major corporations.
Correct. It will not come from that. It will come from crowdsourcing actually talented and driven people to do actual talented and driven things, instead of people doing things just for the lowest denominator thing, just for money.
The same thing happened when somebody when they did the de-aging from the Mandalorian on Luke Skywalker. Somebody went through and like fixed it in a very short period of time, made a deep fake that was far better than the one that ended up on the show. Think of like how awful the Halo TV series was, and then look at like the Halo fan films that have been done that are objectively, from what I understand, far superior because they're passionate about the product itself and they're not restrained. Certainly they don't have everyone makes the argument that, well, if you work for the corporation, the money is there to work on it, but that doesn't matter if it's hamstrung by too many bosses, too many people overseeing the project, too much red tape preventing you from doing your job right. All the money in the world doesn't fix that. Creativity and control of your work helps fix that.
Yeah, and like people think like everything in the world that throwing money at the issue will fix it.
And it doesn't.
And it doesn't, because so now we've paid Will Smith $100 trillion not to slap someone and to act a role that he has no understanding of. I'm being facetious, as I tend to be, but like my point is that if major actors don't give a beep about the source material, do not be astounded when the source material is shit.
I talked about that last time. It's like they look at it as a stepping stone for their career or their ability to put their own agenda and politics into it. Watch any of the Batman fan films and you will get a better understanding of who Batman is, far better than any studio has been able to create.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Yep.
And so I think that giving $10 million to, let's just say, for example, Final Fantasy fans on message boards, I promise you, my friends, they will make a far superior Final Fantasy film than if you gave $150 million to whatever director you're thinking of.
Yeah. So what do we? So in this case, I
have a question. Do you think that Bethesda drawing upon Fallout London is and actually like succeeding in doing so speaks to like the corruption of creative and driven people, like that they're kind of putting them on a conveyor belt to like take them for all the energy they have, but they're not actually like taking advantage of the gifts that they have?
Yeah, it's kind of like one of those, like the road to hell is paved with good intentions. They're like, hey, we'll give you money, why don't you do this? It's like, well, I can't sit in my underwear, eat Cheetos, and like grind 6 hours on the one nuanced detail that I want when I work in corporate America. I have to do what my boss wants me to. And like, what sometimes happens in corporate America is like your boss doesn't want you to do well. Because, hey, if my underling is better than me, then it kind of calls into question, like, why am I in this position? And like, it's kind of the egos and the deadlines and the whatever and the Zoom meetings and what we keep mentioning that stop these things from happening. And to your point, it's like, it would take from the passion, and passion is what gets you this. And all the other fixes.
What they said about Johnson is he finished all of his expected tasks as well as a few extra ones we didn't expect him to do. His professionalism and dedication will truly be missed throughout the team. I don't think that that's something that would be appreciated in a more like corporate environment where he is expected to only do what he's told.
Yeah.
It will only be appreciated in corporate environments once everything is done and the money rolls in and it's like wunderbar. But until then, it's not.
Did he move on for like ego's sake, money's sake, and like is that? I mean, that seems to be ultimately like his fault. I mean, if he is he's like one of these creative driven people, and then he sacrifices that to move on to something bigger, like seemingly bigger and better.
Well, I mean, if he's looking for, maybe he doesn't have quite the understanding we do of like the way the corporate structure is. Like maybe he doesn't realize that that's probably what's going to happen once he moves on.
Hey man, you know,
I realize like creative people can have a rose tinted view of how everything works.
And at the end of the day, you need your bread buttered. So
yeah,
like,
he still needs to make a living. Like that's the hard part. Like so many people build so many of the things that they're passionate about on their time off, right? That's why maybe that's why the passion shines through on something like that, because it's not your job. It's something you do because you're passionate about the product. And sometimes, as hard as it is to understand, that type of energy transfers onto the project without really understanding why. Like it doesn't have the budget, it doesn't have the same amount of people working on it, but something about the energy, the passion from the people working on it shines through, and you don't really know why, but you know that it's there. And that's maybe that speaks to the subjectivity of art. I don't know.
Again, I still like without exception, I bet like Christopher Nolan liked Batman.
I don't know that he cared a whole ton about Batman. I think that he cares about good storytelling, and I think he cares about characters as vehicles to tell good stories.
Yeah, I'm not saying he had Batman posters and a Batman tattoo. What I'm saying is,
I know Ben Affleck had a Batman in his house and his own Batcave,
and look at the garbage he made. So like it isn't like always like a surefire thing, but it's like a healthy respect for this will continue forever. I will not ever rescind my point that Ben Affleck was the second worst Batman in history.
You were making a point. Continue. You're wrong about that one, but you had another point to make. It's fine.
Yeah, just like a healthy, at least respect for the source material is what's needed, and like nothing else will ever. No money, no studio, no high-tech equipment. Nothing will ever substitute the value of that.
These things are owned by gazillion-dollar corporations now, which make that almost impossible.
So that's why you said, like, you get a Batman or whatever simulacra. You're like, you get like an empty suit walking around and saving crime, but not in the way that he would do it. Not with like the moxie he would do it.
And we're not even talking about the studio interference and the notes from producers, and you have to meet this quota and that quota, and you have to reach this goal and that goal. There is a sort of conveyor belt line to this type of production.
There's all that stuffy aspect to it, and then they cling to the like projecting the appearance of creative destruction. I don't even like the turn to like creative destruction is a more authentic creativity than working off of something that's already been created and trying to put your own unique like spin on it.
And the worst part is that they want to pretend like they're all still huge fans of these things when everyone knows it's basically just a conveyor belt factory line of products now that are being made for the means of I mean, you know, they still have to make their money back, they still have to make their I get that, but I hate the idea that they fake and pretend to still be that passionate about this stuff when they're Thanks for watching this clip, guys. If you want to see full episodes or follow us on social media, links are in the description below. Bye.